Your collective intent is the determining factor. November 1, 2013. Here in the spiritual realms we are watching with joy as humanity's progress towards the moment of awakening becomes ever more powerfully focused. We have told you many times that it is a done deal, which indeed it is, but your collective intent is the determining factor, the force driving you forwards and homewards so purposefully. It has always been your collective intent to awaken, ever since the moment of apparent separation, but of course the distractions and enticements of the illusion that you had conceived and built were quite fascinating, and for all practical purposes you had forgotten that ineradicable intent and became lost and distracted in the vast maze that is the illusion. Many have come among you over the eons to remind you and show you the way home, and finally their loving and persistent efforts are coming to fruition as ever more of you open to the realization that you are indeed eternally alive spiritual beings undergoing learning experiences, requiring physical bodies, that will lead you out of the illusion and home to reality. The way ahead is clear, there are no obstructions or obstacles that entail any more diversions or detours. Just hold the intent to awaken, for yourselves and for all of humanity, and reconfirm it at least once daily, and preferably many times because your task is to wake up and remember with wonder who and where you truly are. You have a saying, home is where the heart is, which basically means that home, where you all perpetually desire to be, is a state of knowing that you are always and unconditionally loved, and where you want for nothing. But within the illusion that is an almost impossible state to attain. Yes, some of you have wonderful relationships, when judged by your human standards, but even then you know that however good it is something is still not right, something is missing. You are always on the lookout for something more, and that of course is your divine and eternal connection to God. That connection has never been broken and never can be, but your awareness of it, your knowing it is lost temporarily, and you yearn for it, which is why, as a human, you can never find true satisfaction, because deep within you know that that is what is missing in your lives and there is absolutely nothing that can replace it. A few do become aware of this and turn to God full-time for the love that they know is their due, and in doing so they fall fully and finally in love with God. But only a very few have sufficient dedication and persistence to come to know Him and dwell in His presence during a human lifetime. Now, with the intensifying field of divine love bathing and embracing the planet and all sentient life forms, an awareness of this is growing throughout humanity, that you are indeed spiritual beings. Many are finding this hard to accept. Nevertheless, their awareness is strengthening despite their doubts and skepticism, and resistance is futile. You are beings of love, eternally connected to your divine source, and denial of the reality of that divine truth can no longer be maintained. And for many that is very unsettling. Having bought into the apparent reality of unreality, it can cause considerable emotional distress to acknowledge that you had made an error, and that the environment of pain and suffering that seems to envelop you is a figment of your collective intent. You focus intently on your ingrained beliefs to convince yourselves that you are right, that the world around you is most definitely real. After all, you experience it directly with all your physical senses, so it must be real, right? And in that rightness is your unhappiness and dissatisfaction firmly maintained. So often you are in places or situations where it seems you cannot safely be yourselves, and so you have all donned disguises that you have become so accustomed to wearing that you believe they really are you. Then something unexpected happens and you find the disguise cannot cope with it, and an aspect of yourself you had forgotten you had breaks into your awareness. It can be a sense of great strength and ability to cope, or a terrifying breakdown into emotional collapse. Either way it is shocking for you. Rest assured that when something like that happens to you it most certainly is not an accident but a wake-up call, a learning opportunity that you had built into your life path to assist you on your way to awakening. You can still deny its meaning and refuse to become aware of the lesson with which it has presented you, but even so it will have such an enormous impact on your life perspective that you will eventually have no option but to acknowledge it, leading you to make necessary alterations in your attitudes and behaviors. It is a little like finally admitting to alcoholism or drug addiction and agreeing to take part in a 12-step program. And, as you all know, doing that can be a lifesaver and a life changer, bringing amazing rewards to those who find the courage to admit that they need help. You need to keep remembering that a human life on earth is an ongoing learning experience, an experience you willingly chose to undergo for the essential lessons with which it would present you. Once you accept that and start to accept what life presents to you with equanimity and patience, your stress levels will fall, and you will find yourselves far better able to cope with the unexpected situations or crises that life seems to throw at you. At first, when a crisis occurs, go immediately into your inner space, give yourself time to unwind a little, to relax a little, and then ask for help from your angels, guides, mentors, saints, whomever you feel most comfortable, or perhaps least uncomfortable calling upon, and you will receive it, instantly. But be aware that the guidance that is offered so wisely and lovingly may not fit in with your presumed need. You will need to be prepared and ready to see things differently so that you can understand, appreciate, and then put into effect the assistance on offer. Learning life's many lessons is all about surrendering to love, God, the source of all that exists. Love does not judge, blame, condemn, or deceive. It offers a wise and loving embrace that will solve all issues. Holding out for justice or restitution encourages a state of bitterness and resentment that burns. It is like holding your hand in a flame. The only remedy is to remove it. When you first feel the pain that another seems to have caused you, possibly with intent, it is difficult to stand back from the situation and maintain an awareness that that other is also in pain, and that the remedy is love, because part of you wants to hate. But you know from experience that clinging to a hurt, a mistreatment, a betrayal, or any other form of attack only ensures your own continuing pain. When in pain, therefore, whatever the reason, go within to ask for help and for a loving embrace. Open your hearts as you do so to be ready to receive the incredibly powerful loving embrace that will be offered immediately, and let your intuitive knowing that you are indeed doing the right thing in that moment relieve the pain and stress that you are experiencing. At a deep level of your being you know this is so, because you know that all is love. With so very much love, Saul. Channeled by John Smallman. johnsmallman.wordpress.com